What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be installing a 4K dash cam with a rear facing camera into my wife's SUV, crossover, whatever the fuck this thing thinks it is. Kia Sportage. So when it comes to installing this dash cam, the specifics of how I'm going to be doing this, I'm not going to go too much into detail because obviously I'm installing this into a Kia Sportage. Whatever you're thinking about installing a dash cam into, the specific details are going to be different, but the general idea of how we're going to hook up power, run the wires, things like that will apply to pretty much any vehicle out there. So let me show you the camera that I'm installing, then we'll get to work. So I'm going to be installing the Kingslim D4. This is the camera right here. I didn't want a camera with a large screen. Some of the ones you see have a pretty large screen on them. I didn't want that. I wanted something a little more compact. And it also comes with the rear facing camera. Now I did buy the hardwire kit and a memory card. And that way with the hardwire kit, this thing will be powered up, not powered up all the time, but it'll basically be in like sleep mode. And that way if somebody hits the car, breaks into it, you know, the shock sensor will go off and it'll record for 15 seconds or so, I think it is. So the reason I'm doing this dash cam install, my wife doesn't drive this vehicle all that often. We've taken it cross country twice now though, I think. And we're getting ready to take another little road trip. And I just like the idea of having a dash cam just for a little added security. Plus with the way my wife drives, might not be a bad idea. Sorry, babe. So let's go ahead and first thing I want to do is figure out exactly where I want to install the camera. And then we'll get to running some wires. All right, guys. So man, it is toasty here today. It's supposed to be like 111 in Vegas today. A little warm. All right, so let me show you where I'm at so far. All right, so when it came to figuring out where exactly I wanted to mount the camera, I decided to go right up behind the rear view mirror. If I put it off to the side, it would kind of skew the camera a little bit. Like I said, I'm not too concerned about seeing the screen. You know, it's more there that I can pull the memory card and get to the video if need be that way. I don't need to be watching the screen or have the screen visible. So I decided I want to put it right in the Kia here. It's got this little piece right behind the rear view mirror. So I just decided to go right below that. That gets me right in the center of the windshield. So I put this little static sticker on there that comes with the camera, and then the camera will actually tape to that. Now, here's the power cable that I ran out. So I have an overhead little, light console here with the eyeglass case. So I got the wire routed up there. Let me show you how I had to go about doing that. So this unfortunately is really dark, but again, there's the wire. I ended up running it down to the fuse panel. So I came in here and I figured out which fuse spot is on when the ignition's on, or when the key is on. I did find out that the hardwire kit that I got unfortunately does not support basically battery power and key ignition power. So it's not going to be able to be like in a standby mode when the car is off, unfortunately. It's only a single wire power. If you wanted to get your dash cam to be like in a standby mode when your car is parked, you got to have a constant power and you got to have a switched ignition power. So obviously, or apparently, the hardwire kit I got is only a single wire, so I'm only going to be able to have the camera on when the ignition's on. I did find a spare fuse spot. According to the fuse panel here, it's a spare location, or just a blank location. There's nothing even there. That I was able to plug in the fuse adapter. So this is the power cable. And then the box itself, these are the wires coming out of the box. I haven't hooked them up yet, so I gotta run a ground. Right behind this panel here, I popped this off and I just double-sided taped the little power adapter bracket. Then the wire runs up. I just pulled the weather stripping back. There's the wire. It runs up right behind the A-pillar there, comes up, and then it goes. I do have side curtain airbag, so I did run it up over the airbag, across the headliner there, and down. With all that kind of roughly in place, like I said, your application may vary. I was going to originally run it to the fuse box under the hood, but then I remembered that there was a fuse box right here. That just means I don't have to run through the firewall. Whole lot easier. You decide what you want to do in your application, but again, let me show you exactly how I just went about finding this location. So there's that spare location, and all I did was I just looked at my fuse panel here, a little cover that's on there that shows what fuse is what, and started looking around to figure out where I could go. Now right above it is a power outlet. So that one, if I look at that, that's probably off right now until I turn the ignition on. So we turn my multimeter on here. So there, I got my multimeter hooked up. Now if I probe that spot right for the power outlet, which is right above the blank one, if I probe that right now, nothing on the fuse. So now if I turn the ignition or turn the accessories on, there's 11 volts. Battery's running a little low. But so that would have been a viable place to plug into if I wanted, you know, switched power, or that is one. But this one also right here is a switched power. This is a spare. Again, I got power right there. Turn the ignition off. And now there's nothing. So that's the one that I'm going to use. This way I don't have to tap into another fuse spot. Now those fuse taps, if you look at a fuse tap here, let me set you up on something. So there you can see the fuse tap. This plugs into where the fuse would go, and then you plug in, it's got a spot for two fuses. One would be to make that connection, and the other one is for the output of the fuse tap. So with that wiring kind of figured out, roughly routed, I'm just going to go ahead and start getting some of that stuff back together. To pull the headliner, obviously your application may be different. I had to remove that center console, remove my sun visor and the grab handle on the side, and that gave me just enough to be able to pull down a little bit on the headliner, being careful not to bend it or break it or anything. Those things are stupid expensive. But it gave me just enough room that I could pull it down and I could fish the wire up and over and route it over to where I needed it by the center light console in the center of the headliner. That's a fail. The hardwire power kit doesn't power my camera. Guess it defective. Chinesium stuff. Whatever. Got another one on order. Should be here this afternoon. So until that gets here, I'm going to work on running the rear mounted camera, run that cable up to the front. So when it came to setting up the rear facing camera, I just kind of used some black duct tape to kind of hold it in place here, kind of get everything aligned. And then to run the power, pulled this panel off, actually ran the wire down. So runs up behind this panel, comes down through this grommet, and then I'm gonna run it. I just have it sticking out of the headliner right now, and it's going forward, so I can plug it into the camera. I can show you what that looks like. Let me put the back down, and I'll show you what that looks like. There you can see the view out of the rear camera. So now that I got that position pretty much right where I want it, I can go ahead and take some of the double-sided tape that came with the camera kit, get the camera taped in place, and then I can run the cable up through the headliner to the front camera. So in order to run the cable back for the camera, this red wire, this is for if I wanted to use the camera as a backup camera. But since I already have a backup camera in this, I'm just gonna stow this wire. I'm gonna wrap it up, tape up the end, and just stow it. But to run the cable forward, I used a fish tape, tied some safety wire to it, and I pushed it all the way forward. or I pushed it up, you know, pulled the headliner down just enough. They'll fish this forward. Until it came out right here, disconnected the safety wire. Now I'm just gonna tie the cable to the safety wire and pull it forward. And the cable's through. All right, guys, so it's been a few days, like 5 or 6 days. And that's because, well, the first hardwire kit that I ordered to replace the one that didn't work had the wrong connector on the end. It had a USB-C. The camera uses like a mini USB. Guess I should have paid closer attention. So I had to return that one, get another one in, just a whole pain in the ass, and then work schedule and everything. But I did finally get my new hardwire kit, which this one actually happens to be made by Kingslim, which is the same company that makes the camera. So I got this in the car, and what I want to do now is, and this one actually does have the constant power and the accessory power. So now my camera will work with the car off in case somebody hits the car like in a parking lot or something like that. It will turn on and start recording. So I had to find a constant power source in the fuse panel in the sportage. And according to the little layout here, there are these 2 empty spots here on the bottom right here. So I checked those with a multimeter, and those are constant power. So here I ran to that spare spot there. This is switched or accessory power. This is constant. Now I just have it temporarily in place because I want to make sure that the camera does in fact turn on when I turn the car on, making sure that that module right there is good. And then I will go ahead and run the wires, you know, out the side there, up the A-pillar, and then under the headliner. So let's go ahead and turn the car on and make sure the camera works. Hit the start button. The little light indicator. There we go. Camera's turning on. And there we go. So I can now run my wires permanently. All right, so I got everything buttoned up, ready to go. I'm gonna take the car out for a ride, get some video footage from the camera. Now, I did kind of make a mistake showing the power hookup. When I tested the new hardwire kit, I had the power plugged into the USB port on the side of the camera. That's not where the power goes. The power actually plugs into the base. And so when I turned the car on, I still had the power adapter or the cigarette lighter adapter plugged in. So yes, the camera does work, but in that clip, it was actually powering off of the cigarette lighter adapter. Oh well, but as you can see, the camera is working. So I'm gonna take it out for a drive, and then I'm gonna hopefully pull the SD card out of the camera, and then I'll hopefully I'll put it in the video so you can guys see some footage of just how the camera looks. Let's take it out for a drive. So just driving, I have it set up, like I said, it's behind the mirror, sort of. So part of the camera, part of the screen is cut off on me. So I can't really see the screen all that well. Plus I have it picture in picture, so I have it set up right now where I'm looking at both the forward looking camera and the rear looking camera. So you can change that just by tapping the screen. You can select if you want to see exclusively out the back or exclusively out the front. You just tap the screen and it'll get rid of that picture in picture. Just tap it until you're at the view that you want. Hopefully the footage, like I said, I'm gonna, when I edit this video, I'm gonna take the SD card out of the camera and put it into my editing software, and hopefully be able to show you guys just how clear, or we'll see just how clear the video really is. I like to get up behind a car somewhere and see at what point maybe I can make out their license plate in the video. Like I said, it is recording at 4K, so hopefully You can scale that down to like just 1080p if you want. But you have the ability to change that. So I'm just going to drive around a little bit and see, see what kind of footage this thing takes. There you go, guys. So that's how you hardwire a dash cam into pretty much any vehicle. Like I said, the details are going to be different depending on what vehicle you're doing your installation in, but the concepts are the same. Just take your time, you know, be careful pulling down trim, pulling down your headliner if you're going to run your cables that way. Just take your time, find the power in the fuse panel, both switched and constant, real easy to find. Like I said, every vehicle is different. You just got to find your fuse panel, get a multimeter, take your readings, and the installation goes relatively quick. Again, as long as you have the right hardwire kit. And the video quality on that Kingslim D4 4K camera is actually pretty good. I do want to go back, look at the footage some more, and maybe zoom in on some of it and see how easy it would be to make out a license plate if need be. Just at first glance, it looks like it's going to be pretty easy to make that out if you really need to. But again, the installation with the right parts is really quite simple, not too difficult. Just take your time and you can get one installed in your car too. Appreciate you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you on the next one.